What up, man? I'm DD, and this is DD Got a Point, one of the newest yet fastest growing YouTube channels on the platform. The goal is to be up 10,000 subscribers by next month, 50,000 subscribers by the summertime, and 100,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Yes, you heard me correctly. It is a reality, but it is only a reality if you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you're rocking with the video. Thank you all so much for your help. Now let's get into the video. So I want you all to imagine just how bad things have to be out there in Denver when you consider that you have a person like Nico Harrison who can fire a top 5, and depending on the time of the year and who you're asking, a top 3 player, especially in the playoffs. Luka Doncic is 100%, unequivocally, undoubtedly a top 3 player in the playoffs. You can trade away a player like that months after making the NBA Finals, and you still have a job. You still have a job. Meanwhile, out in Denver, you not only fire your coach, but you fire the GM right along with them just days before the playoffs. And it gets worse when you consider the fact and the nature of how they fire Coach Malone when you hear Coach Malone talking about the firing of Mike Brown.
I go into the meeting and the coaches say, "You hear about Mike Brown?" And I said, "Why? What happened?" And they said he got fired. And at first I was really shocked and surprised. And then I caught myself. I said, why am I shocked and surprised? For 2 reasons. One, because as an NBA head coach, ultimately you're going to get the blame. When they win, it's going to go to Sabonis and Fox. When you lose, it's going to go to Mike Brown. That's the way it works. And 2, who he works for. So I'm not surprised that Mike Brown got fired, because I got fired by the same person. And what really pissed me off about it was the fact that they lost last night, 5th game in a row, I believe. Tough loss, fouling a jump shooter. They had practice this morning. He does his post-game media, and he's in his car going to the airport to fly to LA, and they call him on the phone. No class, no balls. That's what I'll say about that.
They fired him the exact, almost identical. You talk about the disrespect. They went on a 4-game losing streak. He's won. He has the history with them, and they fired this man just days before the playoffs. You talk about the disrespect. And it gets even worse when you consider, it's not that big of a surprise, but then we also learned that Jokic knew about the firing before anybody else found out about it.
I mean, I'm not going to say what Josh told me. So, I mean, I knew a little bit before everybody, and he told me, like, we made a decision, so it was not discussion. It was decision, and, you know, he told me why, and so I listened and I accepted. You know, I'm not going to tell what he told me. I'm going to keep that private.
Now, in my personal opinion, when I listen to Jokic say that, I can't really tell if he's for it, if he's against it, if he's indifferent about it, if he's just unsure. But when you see him coaching games like he was the other day, it just makes you feel even worse for him. And I think I've done a great job on this channel so far, and I've tried my very best to avoid criticizing, or at least overly criticizing, Russell Westbrook, because he's taken a lot of heat over the past maybe 4 or 5 years. But it's kind of hard not to criticize him anymore. So let's look at Westbrook's season. I mean, it's clear his minutes took a hit after October. October, he did his thing. People was bragging about him and Jokic's chemistry. They're gelling well. Jokic believed in him when nobody else would believe in him. He's thriving. His career has been rejuvenated. But after he started playing over 30 minutes a game, he gradually dipped to around 16 minutes by March. I mean, that's a big drop considering this is a former MVP we're talking about. Same thing with his scoring. He was putting up 13 points per game early on, but he fell off around mid-season. By March, he was averaging only 8 points per game. It wasn't until April that he bounced back a bit, getting close to 13 again. His rebounds and assists followed the same trend. Started off strong, then he dropped off in the middle months. He went from nearly 7 boards a night to barely grabbing 3. Same with his assists. He went from almost 7 dimes a game to just over 3 a game. Shooting wise, I mean, he's been all over the place. He was super efficient early on, over 56% from the field in October. And for a person like Russell Westbrook, that's extra good. Then he hit a cold spell. But in April, he actually shot over 40% from 3, which is very, very rare for him. But I think the organization has seen enough, because there are reports that's coming out that Coach Mike Malone's perspective was, let Russ be Russ. Russ is going to be himself. Listen, he's performed well throughout the years. He's performed well towards the beginning of the season. Just let him do him. He's not our best player. We're not running our offense through him. I believe in him. And I think there was a rift between him and the organization. Not to mention, there's reports coming out that I'm sure all of you have heard. Coach Mike Malone, the GM, Kevin Booth, did not get along. They talked behind each other's backs. It's all over the place out there in Denver. And then there's the groundbreaking news that I guess I'm one of the last people to find this out. I tend to be the last person finding out a lot of things these days. But I had no idea that Jamal Murray and his injury apparently is so bad that they're saying that he's questionable for the playoffs. Hold up. We went from Jamal Murray playing, people forget he put up like a 50 piece in like January, February this year, to him sitting out, and now all of a sudden he's questionable for the entire playoffs. And to make matters even worse, if you know anything about Jamal Murray's injury history, or his history altogether throughout his career, unfortunately, when it comes to his health, man, that could be one extreme or the next. It could mean he's not going to play at all. It could mean he can play, but even when he's playing, he can be very, very limited and very, very questionable. Again, on this channel, we're not going to bash players for being injured. I mean, how can you control your injuries? But from an organizational perspective and from a Jokic fan perspective, this sucks, bro. This sucks, man, because I tend to see a trend over the years where some of the best players in the league, a lot of times, yes, the gap between how good they are and how good the second best player on their team is normally a really, really big gap. But when we consistently see these times and times again, when you have really, really good players on these really, really bad teams, I mean, it's just hard not to feel sorry for Jokic, bro. His best years are going to waste. I mean, he should be competing for championships, bro, because they're currently sitting in the 4th seed. If the playoffs were to start today, they'd be matched up against the Clippers. Don't know how I feel about that because Kawhi Leonard is my second favorite player. But not only because of that, it's just the matchup nightmares. It's like if Jamal Murray is sitting out, I'm taking the Clippers to win that series. Unless James Harden decides to be typical playoff James Harden, then it could be a very competitive series. But even under those circumstances, Jokic would have to average, like, I'm not even exaggerating, he'd have to average like a 35, 40-point triple-double in order for it to even be a competition. It's gotten so bad with the Nuggets now that I personally feel like there's probably 4 or 5 teams now that they want to dodge. You don't want to see the Thunder, you don't want to see the Lakers, you probably don't want to see the Warriors right now either. You definitely don't want to see the Timberwolves. Those are 4 easy teams. And people can make an argument for the Rockets. I think they could beat the Rockets. But without Jamal Murray, the Denver Nuggets could really get beat by as little as 4 teams, as many as 6 or 7 teams in the way. They could get beat by just about anybody. I really feel that way. They're just not consistent enough. And then when you consider the fact that the interim coach that they're using right now, his highest level of coaching apparently is a high school team, which further explains why Jokic was taking the clipboard and taking over the coaching at one point in the game the other day against the Kings. This just sucks, bro. It just sucks all the way around. I was excited and I'm still excited for the playoffs, but I'm not excited as I was before because you want to see your favorite players be able to actually compete at the highest level. And if half your team is injured or if your second best player is injured, your coach is being fired, there's all this turmoil surrounding the organization. It just kills the momentum. It kills the energy in the locker room. Oh, how so fast things can change. I mean, just a week and a half ago to now is just night and day. Didn't know this about Murray. Didn't know this that they were going to fire Coach Malone. And then a lot of people are saying that Coach Malone was a jerk because he decided to come out after they lost, I believe, against the Trailblazers, and had this to say.
I think each guy's got to look themselves in the mirror and start coming to each respective game with the proper mindset and have some pride. I didn't think we played with any pride tonight.
How do you feel like they took that?
I really care. It's not my job to evaluate how they take things. My job is to be honest, and sometimes brutally honest. And tonight, it was a brutally honest message. And the guys that are full of shit won't hear it. You know, they'll say, Coach is tripping. And the guys that maybe do really care will, because they're not going to go back and watch their minutes, because nobody watches their minutes. Nobody watches film. So we'll have to show them the film. And I said, if somebody disagrees with me, please speak up. And nobody said a word.
I personally love what he said. I loved every bit of that because he's being truthful. These are grown men we're talking about, not little boys, not women, not children. These are grown men. And if your team is not producing, and I think for the most part he was talking about, once again, Westbrook. I think Westbrook had like 9 turnovers in that game, and he's calling guys out without having to call them out by name. Like, look, guys, this is not the effort we need to be putting forward if we want to actually compete for a championship. MPJ is on record with saying that he personally believes that the Nuggets' perception is that if they don't win anything this year, or at least make a really, really good run, they're going to blow up the whole team. And it looks like that's probably what's going to happen, sadly enough. And to make matters even worse, Jokic has like 3 years left on his contract. He's not out of his contract until like 2027. Unless they got KD coming to the team in the offseason, don't know how y'all feel about that. I don't really know what this looks like for the Nuggets this postseason or even next year. There's not a whole lot of options in the offseason. Y'all in the comment section, give me your thoughts. Let me know what you think. I'm Demetrius. I go by Didi. That's all for this one, man. Until next time. Peace. Oh, yeah. Didi got a point.